everyone, and welcome to the episode 2 of How Languages Connects to People. Here at Day Translations, we love languages and people and how they can grow, interact, and evolve while using different languages. As always, our interviewer and host of this series is CEO and founder of Day Translations, Inc., Sean Patrick Hopwood. And he will be interviewing today Akin Kelebek. And now I've said it right. We're going to be talking about people and how they connect with languages and how in the translation and interpreting world. Akin Kelebek is a Latvian, Turkish, English, and Russian translator and interpreter working with Day Translations for almost 3 years. And previously, he worked with his university, leading a project related to translations with Erasmus students and their assignments. Welcome, Akin, and welcome, Sean. And up to you, Sean.
Thank you very much, Alejandra. I appreciate it. And welcome, Akin. How are you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Hopwood. I'm great. And you?
Very good. Thank you. Very, very good. So you have a very special set of skills, and you also speak some rare languages in Eastern Europe. And I think it would be very insightful for us to have the chance to speak to you about these things. And also, in our company, we've noticed your strong interest in the translation field. And a lot of our people in our audience don't understand the multiple levels of knowledge bases and different directions you can go to within the translation, localization, audiovisual fields. It's such an expansive field. Wouldn't you agree? Or how do you feel about that?
Indeed, yes. I've started working at Day Translations almost 2 years ago, and we have expanded into localization audiovisual, and we have now specialized project managers and specialized linguists assisting us with our projects. And I feel like there's so much we are doing, and we can already build on the foundations that have been laid in all these specialized areas. So I'm lucky to have, and I'm pleased to have chosen translation studies as my major, and to be part of this beautiful team.
Yeah, it's really wonderful, and we're kind of like still a growing company, learning on our own all these different aspects of the field, which is like it's a very booming industry. What made you decide to get into this industry? In the United States, it's like a very niche industry, and in other countries such as Argentina, Turkey, Egypt, France, it's usually a career path that people choose, from when they're in high school and they decide they want to do this. What made you decide to get into this, and at what age did you start getting into the translation?
Well, it's been my passion, I believe, since I was a child, because I was born and raised in Turkey, and to Turkish parents, but they were born, raised, and educated in Bulgaria. As most people would know, there is a substantial minority of Turks in Bulgaria. So I was learning Bulgarian and the Cyrillic alphabet when I was a child, thanks to my parents, and it laid the foundation for the Russian acquisition later on, which I took for 4 years at the university as the secondary language. And then I met my current fiancé, who is Russian native, and I'm speaking to them, their family, their friends, and I'm having the chance to practice it. And of course, I took English and at the age of 10, and it was continuing until the end of high school as a language. And I realized that I can, and I would love to develop myself in this field. And in Turkey, as the higher education system goes, we have such choices as being a teacher, being a translator, or working, for example, as a diplomatic mission employee. So I thought that I would have more self-fulfillment in the field of translation, and I decided to pursue this field.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And that experience you have is great. So the languages you speak are English, your English is amazing, Turkish, Russian, and Latvian?
Latvian, I've been living on and off for the past 2.5 years, and for the past 9 months, I've been doing my master's degree here in the field of digital humanities. And I can speak up to some extent, and I like the tone of Latvian. It's really melodic language, but it has a very steep learning curve, I believe, because it's neither Slavic language or Germanic language, and it has a very unique phonetic and grammatical rules to itself.
Yeah.
So I have a long way to go in that regard, but I really like that.
Yeah. In my travels, I've spoken to people with these small languages, which is really not small. I don't know how many people live in Latvia, but I've spoken to people like in these countries that I've been to, and they say, "Oh, why are you learning this language? It's not important. It's, you know." What do you have to say to those people that say like Latvian or I'm personally my ethnicity, my background is Lithuanian, so it's right around where you're at. So, what do you say to these people that say, well, these languages are not important? Like English is important, Chinese is important, German, Portuguese, like, but what do you say to people that say like these are not as important?
Well, to begin with, Latvia has a population of 1.9 million, and
only 1.9 million in the entire country.
Yes, in this huge country, which is filled up with 75% forest, there lives 1.9 million people. And for example, in the sense of trade, export, import, goes Riga is a huge port, and Latvian can prove useful. But looking at things from the humanitarian sciences perspective, I would say that Latvia is a very characteristic country because it was first target of the Northern Crusade, and there came the Germans, and then there were Swedish occupation, and then there was the Russian rule for a long time, and then the Soviet rule. But they maintained their identity, their language, their culture for so many centuries that were under German, Swedish, and Russians. And their language, their culture, for example, they had these traditional ornaments, which you can see on my wrist.
Oh, nice.
Which are associated with the times of their pre-Christian times, and they all mean prosperity, health, they mean luck, they mean family bonds, and people carry them around, which are also used as decoration around the streets. So I love Latvia in the sense that they have managed to maintain so much of their identity despite their history, and it's really beautiful.
That is beautiful, and I wanted to get into that. I want to get towards that because personally, I believe in the importance of languages and preserving languages. And I don't know if you heard, but we're actually starting an organization called the GUPL, the Global Union for the Preservation of Languages. And I think when you preserve a language, you don't just preserve the language. You preserve the people, you preserve the history, and you preserve concepts, linguistic concepts that you wouldn't understand in another language, And I've spoken about this on different podcasts before. Your mind is always searching for a word sometimes in your own language, but that concept and that word exists in another language. And when you're speaking to someone who doesn't speak that language, you can tell they don't feel that. They can't feel that concept inside of them. So it's pretty interesting. And I was speaking about the Chinese and, concepts like fate or loneliness. Sometimes these words don't exist in other languages. So it's pretty cool.
Even in Turkish, we can trace so many words to Farsi roots because Turks were first settling in the Iranian plateau. For example, for settled lifestyle, Turks didn't have their own words for a long time, and they just borrowed from Turkish. Even the way we say left and right comes from those spatial direction and spatial location. Yes, in the nomadic time. So we now say those words just as Farsi loan words. Even the history and the interaction between two cultures.
Even the concept of time is different in different languages. So it's very interesting. Being a translator, do you feel like it's a rewarding career? How do you feel about working as a translator?
Well,
what are your prospects and growth in this industry?
As I've said, there's always so much room to grow, and since I started learning Bulgarian when I was a child, I realized that every language has their own character, their own specific side to it, and it's been a passion since that time for me. And then I realized that since my translation studies, I've been going over, searching about things and trying to find those connections between everything. For example, I don't speak Latin, but I know that the city in Spain and the city in Turkey are coming from the same root because of the Roman times. Zaragoza and Kayseri are rooted from Caesarea. They're the city of Caesar.
Zaragoza, and what's it, Kaiser?
Kayseri.
Oh yeah, Kaiser. Yeah, it's Kaiser Caesar. Yep.
As you realize these sort of things, and you see that these cultures are so different, Spanish and Turkish cultures, but they have something in common. They some common history, and
Yeah.
the traces of their interaction throughout the history you can find, just like in Turkish and Farsi words or Arabic loanwords in Turkish,
Yeah.
or these sort of location names. And I take pleasure in this. It never ceases to amaze me, the language, how they work, how the words just migrate from one language to another, sometimes with minimal changes.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's amazing, and there's been a lot of studies on languages, Anglo and Saxon, Anglo-Saxon, because that's a very studied language. So you can see how the influence of the Saxon language turned into Anglo-Saxon, and the German went off on their own branch, and the English went on their own branch, and you can still see the similarities. It's amazing, and I don't know. I'm not a real like expert linguist, but I notice like the sounds that are made and where they come from. It's very interesting. I'll leave that to the experts, but yeah, it's very interesting. So, what are some of the rewarding and fun experiences that you've had as a translator? Like, what makes it so rewarding to you? What has been some of the most exciting things you've done?
Well, as was mentioned in the introduction, I was working as a lecturer at a public university in a small city. So the number of staff who were proficient in English were limited, and I was responsible of handling exchange students, exchange staff, and institutional evaluation teams, and I was handling translations and interpreting for both students, staff, and the whole institution at the university itself. So I had many students from around the world, from Germany, France, from Indonesia and Malaysia, of course. They just love Turkey, Jordan and Ukraine, and we had students from Azerbaijan and Central Asia, of course. So while I was translating for them, and I could see that it was sparking some curiosity in them, and some sort of it was drawing their attention, and I could see that in their eyes, and that was the reward I was getting out of it. Of course, apart from being a public servant as a translator. So yeah, one time I would never forget that we had an institutional evaluation team arriving, and they were arriving with the 5 different European countries, and as they came, we were holding a welcome dinner, and I was the translator between the 17-year-old Poitiers University rector, and I was the translator of our own rector, and I was a Copenhagen University rector, and it was a very fruitful and interesting moment for me.
No, that's really good. Yeah, I worked in a couple of similar things. I worked as a guidance counselor for immigrants coming in high school, helping them get into college and stuff like that. And that was really rewarding because I was helping them learn their language, also helping them, get into college. And the name of that program was called Enlace. And it's just rewarding because you see people really wanting to. Language is a very rewarding thing because it's so tangible. Everyone can identify with language, and everyone is kind of impressed with language too. When you say you speak a couple of languages, they're always impressed because it's something concrete. If you say something like, I'm a biologist, it's still impressive, but you can't really put your grasp on what part of biology you're in. If you're a translator, it's like, okay, I speak Turkish, I speak English, it's a very concrete thing to learn. That's why I like learning languages, because it also it feels like a very stable thing in your mind. When you learn a language, you know it. It's something beautiful. So we have a lot of translators that listen to this podcast and this blog. What would you give? we always want to help give them advice. And actually, they always contact me asking for advice as well. What kind of advice would you give them, starting off as translators and, regarding growth or errors that they should not make and stuff like that? What do you think would be the best way to help them?
Well, I believe translation, as many other things, is a matter of balance. Too much or too little of something would yield undesirable results. So, for example, some translators act on instinct or guts just because they have translated that sort of text thousands of times before. Or some translators are just overthinking and looking for some connotations a word can have. Maybe it was used in a special way in some sort of James Joyce manner, like in not so. Come on, just translate it. So, matter of keeping a balance always. We have to do, of course, a bit of research on our field and what we are dealing with, and we have to customize ourselves, especially if we are specializing in that field. But then overthinking also leads to some negative results at some time.
Yeah. And what do you feel are some of the most important technologies to use in localization and audiovisual translation and even regular translation to help the translators, to become better translators and more efficient?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are now many CAT tools that they can benefit from. It will save them a lot of time and it will add a lot of efficiency with their built-in translation memory systems and glossary systems.
Yeah.
For example, at Day Translations, we are using SmartCats with our localization department, and it's only yielding positive outcomes for us.
It's a very good tool.
We have our own translators there as a team, and we are able to manage all of our projects on one single platform. And the translators also benefit from this. Of course, every project is assigned in the same manner, and their previous translations are kept on file for their reference. And we can build specific glossaries ourselves from scratch for each and every single client.
Yeah. And for the newbies and the layperson, CAT tools is computer assisted translation. We use things like translation memory, machine translation and stuff to really help our work become more efficient. So you've been working remotely, and Day Translations has been a remote company for a while. How do you feel about working remotely? Does it help or hinder the family life, your personal life? How does that work?
Oh, I love it. It saves a lot of time in the first place because we don't have to commute. And I was working at the university, for example. I had to commute half an hour and in the mornings and half an hour in the evenings. And now I can save that 1 hour. In the second place, I can work anywhere. For example, I was traveling in Iran for 43 days with my fiancé, and as long as I have internet communication, I can work from anywhere I like. Which is also great. And other than that, everybody has this freedom, and it of course helps team building, and everybody's less stressful due to this. More time to their families, to their hobbies, to their social life. So it also helps with the entire team as well.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say that is important for anyone at translators working from home is to let your family know that you're still working, especially your parents, because they don't quite understand this type of thing. Like it's like with my mother and stuff. I have, you have to just tell them, hey, when I'm at work, it's just pretend I'm working at a regular job. I can't just walk out and I can't just, do something, or I can't run any errands for you. I can only run errands when I'm on my break or when I'm off work. I can't just get up and leave, and so that's something that we actually have a document that we send to all of our new employees. We just say, hey, take this and send it to your friends and family and let them know that, this is, the document says, hey, I have a new work from home job, but it's just like a real job. Give me my space, give me my space to work, So yeah, that's really cool. And so our company is trying to be really involved and innovative and progressive when it comes to human resources and stuff like that. and our company has really looked at you as a very important person. How do you feel about the continuing education and scholarships that we have at our company? Do you believe that these kind of things help people, help retention and help the company grow? Or how do you feel like that affects the morale at a company?
Well, I think that we have a very solid policy regarding this. For example, in the first place, I'm a master's student myself here in Latvia, as I said, in the field of digital humanities, and the company.
Digital humanities.
Yeah, and the company is allowing me, even though with utmost good faith, lecture breaks, because I'm taking a 3-4 hour break and I'm coming back to my shift and I'm completing it to 8 hours, which is just amazing from data translation. This is rare to see in full-time jobs. And in the second place, the company is incentivizing the employees' acquisition of new skills, qualifications, and competences, and they are contributing towards their scholarship. In my case, it was the same, and I received a percentage of contribution from day translations towards my tuition fee, which was a bit too high for a Turkish person, because I was expecting a bit less, but this is Europe and tuition fees are a bit larger, and it came at a very crucial time, and I was very thankful at that point, because it was a huge relief. Yeah.
Our corporation does believe that, there's some large corporations, like, Google, Facebook, maybe, they recruit people, and I don't know exactly their recruiting policies, but for us, we really put a value on humans, human growth, human development. And personally, me as a president, I want everyone to continue to see the success of this company and feel that success for themselves as well. And I don't want our company to become like $1 billion company without the same people we started with. I like to have everyone just, get to the top of the mountain together. And that's kind of like the idea that we have at our company. And I think that's a really good thing to do. So, so thanks for that. So how do you spend your free time? Do you have more free time, and how do you spend it?
These days I'm enjoying summer, because here in Latvia we had a very harsh winter, falling down to -17 centigrade.
Oh wow.
And I'm just taking walks these days, and of course enjoying some Euro 2020 after 1.5 years of pandemic. It's reminiscent of how we were living, and it's nice to watch a exciting football match after my shift.
I love football.
Me too.
Hungary actually has full stadiums, so the games in Hungary have been more exciting.
Yeah, they did, and from now on it's the semifinals, and every match I believe will be in England, and they will have 50,000 at every game as well from now on.
Yeah, football is an amazing, passionate thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both tonight's and tomorrow's games. And other than that, I play chess from time to time. I try to read some books, and that's all. It's studies, working, and personal life, and enjoying the summer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you like to read. I noticed that I've been to a couple of the ATA, American Translators Association conferences in Orlando and Washington, D.C., and also San Jose. And when you talk to translators, it's such a good feeling when you're just like surrounded by hundreds of translators. They talk about books, they talk about history and geography, and it feels like you don't feel alone. You feel like you're like with your people. It's really nice, People just like to learn about words and read. Translators are big time readers, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. You can feel that interconnectedness, even though it's not something spoken. Multilingual, or who's also reading many books, and you feel it most of the time instantly. Yeah.
Have you ever been to a translators conference?
In Turkey, I did, both in Istanbul and at the university I was working, and both as a participant and, of course, as an interpreter.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Yeah, they're really nice here. So what are your goals for the for the future? With professionally and personally, what are your goals for the future?
Well, for now, I'm focused on completing my master's studies because I still have to write a thesis, which I will do in semiotics in new media, which I hope will be satisfactory for both my goals and my advisors. And after that, as a digital humanities student, I'm gaining a lot of knowledge in the digital sciences, like some Java courses, some C and CSS and HTML languages. Of course, those are just machine languages, and they will prove very useful in the field of localization. I believe. Working with an XLIF file, for example, is not the same as working with a usual Excel file. So I believe I have a lot to learn still in this field, and I'm looking forward to putting my new competences into practice in the localization project management field.
Yeah. And XLIF files are something really important for us and a lot of translators to understand. They're being used by a lot of technical organizations to allow us to do translation by proxy. We can they can give us access to their back end of their server, their website, and anytime they make a change on their website, we automatically get notification and we can change it on our end, change the translation on our end, and the client doesn't have so much communication with us. So this is really good for real-time translation. So yeah, this is great. It's always great to continue to improve and always be innovating in industry. You always have to be learning new technologies, and that's extremely important in our industry as well. So that's what I believe in. So did you have anything you wanted to add? I really appreciate talking to you about this.
Well, I've been enjoying it a lot as well, and thank you very much for having me over for this interesting conversation.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so thanks for being with us, and I hopefully we'll just continue to grow together. And I'll let you take over, Alejandra.
Yeah, thank you, Akin, for being with us and sharing your experience with us. And to those that are watching this podcast, see you on the next episode.
All right.
Thank you.
Very much.
Bye.